Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, a channel that celebrates authenticity and fan culture. Welcome to the afternoon news show. I'm delighted to say we have Mr. Shreyas Singh alongside us, and we have a lot to discuss, Shreyas. So, looking forward to the show.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Been a while that I've been on an afternoon show, so very excited for it as well.
Absolutely. We're going to discuss Cristiano
Yeah.
Ronaldo's interview because there's a lot of interesting quotes about the manager, about the team in general, about the new owners coming in. So I definitely want to get onto that. Manuel Ugarte played 90 minutes against Venezuela last night. Will he be in contention to start against Southampton on the weekend? We'll discuss that dynamic. And also, Angel Gomes had a really impressive cameo last night against... who did we play? Who did we play? Look,
Was it a good team?
no, probably not. We beat them 2-0. Finland, Jesus Christ. I actually watched the game.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was lack of sleep coming in there. But yeah, Angel Gomes had a really good cameo last night. And I want to discuss his future because he's got a year left on his contract. And yeah, obviously his former United player. Christian Eriksen leaving. Maybe there's something in that there. But we'll start with the Ronaldo quote, Shreyas. The title of the show is Cristiano Slams United. And we'll kick it off with this quote. So, when I'm back there, United, I was very happy. I was one of the best scorers. I did unbelievable things with the club. My first season, 37 years old, I was the third best goal scorer of the league. I scored all the group stage. I scored every time. Even in the league, I scored 17 or 18 goals. I did amazing. Now, he's obviously not one to big himself up, clearly, just from that quote alone. But does that tell the full story?
To be very honest, I think once again, when we were in that season, even at the later stages of that season, we all knew that the only way we win is if Ronaldo actually bags a goal or not. Because overall, the team was playing so bad. The team was so disoriented. The only way we genuinely won was because Ronaldo carried us through games. Genuinely, scoring hat tricks. And even when he scored hat tricks, we were, ending up winning games 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. So I think the reason why we ended up in the Europa League for the next season was because of him and David De Gea that season. Because apart from that, every single player in that squad didn't really kick, into any gear throughout the course of that tournament. And whether it's the Champions League as well, the way we got knocked out by Atletico Madrid was a very dismal performance as well through the course of the both legs. And I think one of the worst seasons that we pretty much had ever at Manchester United in the Premier League era. And he did come, if you have to talk about goals and stats, he did come through with them. 18 goals, 17 goals in the league, then 6 or 7 goals in the Champions League. And when that season ended, all of us actually knew that, if Ronaldo actually had made that move to Man City, that was being, rumored and not even rumored, was actually pretty close to happening before he actually ended up coming to United. We all know what would have genuinely happened that season if that year he had moved to City.
Yeah, I think I'm not being I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on this Ronaldo thing. I think the first season he was incredible, and I actually remember the Villarreal game, for example, which I sold my ticket for because I weren't well, and I was devastated because in the area where I was when he went over to slide on his knees and Maguire was like behind him. That's the area where I was gutted because I missed that last minute winner. But then you look at the Atalanta game, the volley where Greenwood set him up. I'm trying to think of other games. He did it every game, didn't he? Like clutch moments.
Every single game he scored.
Every single game, yeah. And he was fantastic. And look, I never I never blame the club for bringing him back because you look at the dynamic with Ole. How can you say no to Ronaldo? You just can't, can you? So I don't blame him at all for that. But I think it did kind of hinder him going forward. He wanted this. He had the front three, didn't he? Martial, Greenwood, and Rashford, and Cavani's still there as well. And bringing in Ronaldo, I think that just disrupted everything and the players around him.
I think in that season, having Ronaldo back disrupted the balance of our attacking line because we did have alternatives, no doubt about it. But that year, Martial never kicked into gear, even when he was given the opportunities and ended up picking a lot of injuries. Apart from that, with Cavani, the dynamic just didn't work. Like genuinely with Cavani, that year the dynamic didn't work, and the problem that year wasn't having Ronaldo coming back into the lineup. The biggest issue that we still had and everyone knew was the midfield, and we all knew that there will come a time when when his legs give out, we don't have a six, we don't even have a recognized eight who can do the job week in and week out, because at that time Paul Pogba's best game used to come from the left wing where Rashford used to be actually play. So the only shining light in that midfield used to be Bruno. And in that season, every single team knew how to crack United. Bruno used to get swarmed. He used to give the ball away. I think in that year, Bruno lost the ball like 200 or 230 times in the attacking third. And Fred and McTominay, the dynamic didn't work. And in the backline as well, Maguire had one of his worst seasons. And with Luke Shaw getting injured back and forth, it was just not the season for us. And the biggest issue that year was the areas that genuinely needed strengthening. We didn't really look into it. The areas that didn't require as much strengthening, because I would say even if Ronaldo didn't come back, we still had a lot of options in the attacking third. You still had Marcus Rashford, you had Martial, Cavani was there, Greenwood was there. You had Elanga coming through from the academy that year, and he did quite well in that first season when he came through from the academy. So you had a lot of alternatives. In that midfield, we genuinely didn't have anyone.
Mm. And I think, God, it seems like such a long time ago now, doesn't it, when Ronaldo was actually here? I mean, to think it was only Ten Hag's first season he went, wasn't it? I think like 6 months in, was it?
Like 2.5 years ago, pretty much.
Yeah, which is absolutely not that Piers Morgan interview. I'll never ever forget that when it first broke. Like, talk about the media being hot around United. My word, that you couldn't get away from it. And I remember so I didn't have nowhere near the setup that I've got in a minute. It was literally just I think it was just like my old chair. And then a couple of like shirts up on the wall or whatever. And I went live on the Ronaldo thing, and there was thousands, and so it just tells you everything. Like, you know, crazy, absolutely crazy at the time, and it still feels like it was yesterday when you talk about the quotes, because he's come out on Rio's channel speaking about similar things, and he said United, they need to rebuild everything. In my opinion, the coach. They say they cannot compete to win the Champions League, the league and the Champions League. Manchester United coach, you cannot say that you're not going to fight to win the league or Champions League. You have to mentally say, listen, maybe we don't have that potential, but I cannot say that. We're going to have to try, and you have to try again. I was thinking, I don't know what he's referring to here, because I know with all that, when he got that asked question about trophies, he said it's an ego thing, didn't he? Do you remember that? And then obviously with Ten Hag, he clearly didn't get on with him. So, do you agree with that quote, what he's talking about there?
I would say I'm 50-50 on that one. Because look, the only thing that Oli actually lacked, throughout his tenure at United was trophies. He got very close. On a lot of occasions, he was very, very close to actually lifting a trophy, but he was never able to do it. And I think it came to a point where, I don't even remember. I think we lost like 2-3 semi-finals. We lost a final in the Europa League as well, got in the cup competitions as well, got to the semis and got knocked out. And I think with Ten Hag, what really worked wonders for Ten Hag in that first season was that because we won the trophy, actually won a trophy. This team actually got a kickstart. Even though we were playing a game every single 3 days for, I think, like there was a 3-month patch where United was playing a game every single 3 days. There was no rest at all for these players, and we still managed to, I think we went to the quarters or semis of the Europa League. Then we were also able to get to the finals of the FA Cup. Also lifted the Carabao Cup. Also finished third in the league as well. So I think it gives the team a lot of confidence when you're able to lift a trophy. And under Oli, the league form was good. We went, and under Oli, it used to be just like, if you're winning, you're winning. But if things are going bad, it's going to be going bad for like 5 to 6 games. When they're good, when you're winning games, he used to go on unbeaten runs of 15 to 16 games. I think he had like an away record as well, one of the best away records ever for a United during his tenure. So they were bright moments. We did quite well in the league, but I think you need a balance with both of them when you look at trophies and when you look at your progress in the league, because I think it comes to a point where it doesn't matter where you finish if you finish second, third, or fourth. I think if you finish top four, no matter what position it is, unless it is the first position, it doesn't really matter as much. But if you finish third or fourth and you also win a trophy, I think it gives gives your season a better shine rather than just finishing second or just finishing.
I think as a manager, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, innit? Because if he comes out at the time, let's say he's just taken over from Oli, right? The worst season ever at that point. It's probably until last season. But at least we won a trophy with it. And if you're coming in as a manager, how can you then say we're going to fight for the title? You can't, can you?
Yeah.
It's not realistic. So you have to. I mean, I'm sure in his mind, like, we obviously want to win it, but it's very highly unlikely with what's just
Yeah.
happened. You know, there's so many issues that we're still sorting out to this day. So I think, look, I as much as the next person, as much as yourself, as much as any United fan on the planet, absolutely adore Cristiano Ronaldo and everything he's done in the game. But I think when people remember his time at United, they only seem to remember the good things. They don't remember the bad things that came along with him as well.
Yeah.
I thought doing that interview with Piers Morgan was fucking horrendous in my opinion. I was absolutely livid with him for doing that,
Yeah.
because he knows what damage. It's an egotistical thing. He knew what damage that was going to do to the club as well.
Yeah.
And obviously it was about himself. The whole interview was. So that pissed me off. And then at times, even tactically in the game, it's like, yeah, it's, you know, the first season you scored loads of goals with Ollie and stuff, but then as the season kind of got on, he just became a hindrance to the team. You look at him in Portugal now. I know he scored the other night, but look at him in the Euros, Shreyas, with Portugal. He's a hindrance to that team, is he not?
You need a particular setup for him to work.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, you need a particular. If you can be a team that is possession based and can genuinely, you know, create chances game after game after game,
City.
then Ronaldo can work. Yeah, like at City, if Ronaldo moved to City, he would still
Probably
work.
won
He
a
would
golden
still
boot, to be fair, in the
yeah,
first
he will
season.
easily win the golden boot because look, even now, his shot power, his accuracy, his precision, or his intellect in the box, that is still there.
Absolutely.
His finishing quality is still there, and you can still see it whenever he plays. His finishing quality and just, you know, the presence that he occupies in the team whenever he's on. But for a team that is growing, for a team that is not at that level yet, where you would say that, you know, the team can challenge for trophies, or that team can easily secure a first or second position. I think teams that like to press on the front foot and teams that like to, you know, I would say,
you can't put him in a counter-attacking team,
yeah,
can you?
Yeah,
basically?
you cannot put him in a counter-attacking team.
No.
You cannot put him in a team that, you know, requires agile attacking players and fluid attacking players. He needs a particular setup to work, and I think City is definitely a good fit for him, because I think even in that season, if he would have went to City, that season would have ended completely different for him. Genuinely, it would have. And I think now, even in that Portugal team, they are trying to make that switch for it to actually work for Ronaldo. They are trying to make that switch. You can now, when you see Portugal play, they do create a lot of chances, which didn't really used to happen a few years ago. So they are still in that transition. But once again, with the thing is, if you got Ronaldo in your team, it's very hard not to start him or to actually bench him, because when you've got a player like him, you always, even as a manager, you know, you've got it at the back of your mind that what if, you know, he only requires a moment.
Yeah.
You know, with other players, I require them to be on form. I require a couple of things to actually be right. But with him, it can click at any moment.
But that moment never ever come at the Euros, wasn't it?
Exactly.
That's the big difference.
Exactly.
When he doesn't score, he offers nothing. Apart from maybe leadership, you could argue, because of what he's won in the game. Andy Williams saying, mad when Ronaldo talks about standards, everyone listens, but when some fans say it, you're negative. Elite Baller, use the handle, Nick, is on about me brew. I'm just drinking it, mate. Like I said, not got the brain capacity to do with anything. I'm just drinking me brew. Dan Errington, I don't think Ronaldo would have been a starter at City. He doesn't suit their style of play, so I don't think he would have been as good for them as people think. I think he does. I think, look, Haaland doesn't touch the ball for the majority of the game. He just has to arrive in the right areas at the right time for City. And Ronaldo is one of the best.
Haaland's job is to be at the right place at the right time in that City team. And when you've got players like De Bruyne, Foden, and Silva actually, you know, supplying him balls every single time. And just to put it right as well, Haaland misses a lot of chances.
Yeah.
Like, if you've actually seen him play, he misses a lot of chances. If you put someone like Ronaldo in that team, I think the effect would be just as similar as to what Haaland produces there.
I think the game, for instance, I remember a game that City played against Arsenal where they actually switched up a little bit and he was going long to Haaland and then he was running at the back four in isolation.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, I agree. You know, Ronaldo's going to struggle a little bit in that. But when City have 83% of possession and they're creating a million chances a game, he's going to score a couple for sure. Even now, I would argue, at his age. So it's about tactical setups as well. He goes on to speak about Ruud van Nistelrooy, which is interesting. He said, if Erik Ten Hag listens to Ruud, maybe he can help at United. I think it can help a lot because he knows the club, and the club should listen to the guys who were there. You, Rio, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, Sir Alex Ferguson. You cannot rebuild a club without knowledge. Not guys who work in an office. These guys understand, which is quite a strong comment. Do you think maybe that's why Ineos have looked to bring in Ruud in, not just for his coaching, Shreyas? Obviously, the fact that he was an absolute killer here at his time as a player.
I think it does because look, you need a presence in that locker room who people can respect and look up to. And this is something that we've struggled with on a lot of occasions. Even under Ten Hag's leadership as well, we've seen players kicking up of us. We've heard that there are cracks in the dressing room, and having a figure like Ruud van Nistelrooy, who's done wonders at this club, who's been one of the best attacking players of his generation as well. I think it does create a good leadership as well as I think he's a figure who can help unify this team in the bad moments.
Yeah.
So, and maybe there is something else to it as well with Ineos that probably they see Ruud in a different figure in the coming like 2 to 3 seasons. Maybe they see him as a managerial figure going forward, a head managerial figure. So I think with Ruud van Nistelrooy there are a lot of strings attached. You never know which way it or which direction it can actually go into. But I consider it as a good appointment because with the way we struggled with our attack in the past few seasons, I think he is someone who can help out a lot with these attackers like Garnacho, especially attackers like Garnacho and Ahmad, because they're still very, very young. So if they are able to, bring changes to their game at such a young level and then, build up on there, I think it does wonders for their development as well. So I was quite happy with the appointment. Now, the only thing is, will the connection between the three managers in Ten Hag, Rene Haag, and Ruud van Nistelrooy, will that be able to click? I think that's the only question that a lot of fans still have. But apart from it, I think these genuinely are good appointments. And Ineos, with the way they've made movements in this transfer window, not just from the players' perspective, but from the board perspective and getting things right at the club, I think they've made some very top choices.
I think there's definitely a contingency plan there with them, isn't there? They're looking at it like
Yeah,
if we do need
yeah,
to pivot, if we do an interim to come in for the last 6 months, he'll be the guy.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
I think that's what they're
exactly,
definitely looking
exactly.
at. Ronaldo expands on this. He says this club needs time to rebuild because it's still one of the best clubs in the world, but they need to change. They understand that this is the only way. This is why they start to change again the structure of the club, the president, the infrastructures, and everything else. The owners of the club, they're investing in the training ground, so I'm happy because these things are changing. I'm not happy the way it all happened, but in the same way, we cannot control some points of our life. Sometimes it's done. I don't know if he's referring to how he left. Maybe he's alluding to that interview with the pigeon lady, but yeah, I wasn't happy about that myself. He says, I believe the future will be bright for United, I believe, but they don't depend only on the talent. It's more than that. It's all club, not only players. Everything is a unit. They have to rebuild from the bottom. If they cannot compete, it will be impossible. They can do good things, yes. They can win the Carabao, yeah, but I mean Champions League, Europa League, Premier League, difficult in my opinion, and I wish that I'm wrong. I wish, but it'll be difficult. Where I asked this to Alice, who we had on last night, and make sure you guys check that out, by the way, if you've not seen the show. Really good show. Where do you see it? Do you see us winning anything like that in the next 5 years? Honestly. I think that smile says everything.
Premier League, I think it will be much more complicated. Europa might still happen. Europa can still happen because I think cup competitions, considering we still got Ten Hag, I think he still does quite decent when it comes to cup competitions. He's got a good record in these sort of competitions. So Europa might still happen. I think Premier League is going to be quite tough because one of the biggest things that this team still struggles with is consistency.
Yeah.
And if you want to actually win the Premier League, you cannot afford to lose 6 points in your first 3 games of the season itself. You cannot be playing catch up the moment the league starts. That's not how you actually challenge for the Premier League. You need to be at it from the first game itself because that you never know in those games against the top six you will drop points. Maybe it's not maybe you draw, maybe you lose, but you will drop points when you end up losing to teams like Brighton, when you end up getting absolutely smashed against teams like Liverpool. It not only demoralizes the team, but it takes a lot of work to get your season back on track. And when you've got so many transitions already happening at the club, at the board level, you've got some very new figures coming into the team as players. It creates a negative environment because fans don't take it in a positive way. You want to create a good first impression. You want there to be a good environment for the young players who are coming through as well, but and for the new signings as well. But with the kind of performances that we've seen, it makes it a bit difficult for fans to back the manager. I think Ten Hag had all the fans backing him when after we won the FA Cup. The way this season has started, I don't think he's done justice to it. I think the way that we've played, it still has a lot of cracks. I think something definitely needs to be tweaked in that system for it to actually work, for it to be consistent again. Because if you still look at this team, it's not a bad team. You've got decent enough players in this unit for like if you would say that if this team can be used to its maximum potential, I think we can genuinely easily make top four. If you actually utilize this team and it works well, you can easily make top four. You've got players like Dalo, Mazarawi, Delict coming in, who is a very very big figure. Alessandro is there. You've got players like Bruno, Menu, Mount is a hard worker whenever he's on the pitch as well. You've got Ugarte coming in the attack. You've got Hoyland, Xerxes. I think will come good. I think he's still a bit rusty, but I think he genuinely will come good. He looks like a very bright spark in that attacking lineup, and you've got youngsters like Garnacho and Ahmad too. So there are players, there are options for you to look into. It's just if Ten Hag can match the balance and get it right with these players, because right now it's just way too chaotic.
It's hard to disagree with, isn't it, when you hear quotes like that, because we're living through it quite literally at the moment.
Yeah.
Asking, when are we going to challenge? When are we going to get some consistency? And I think one thing that needs to happen that Omar Barada touched on actually when he released a statement the other day. He was saying we need to make a lot of decisions consistently right. So get decisions constantly right in terms of recruitment, everything, board decisions, everything comes as a collective. You look at, to compete with the likes of City and Madrid, it's going to take 4 or 5 years of amazing recruitment and the best decisions we could possibly make.
And just one manager.
Yeah, and have a consistent manager and a consistent style of play and one focus on a collective focus on everyone getting back to the top. And I'm sure they're working on that. I know there's still a lot of things that need ironing out. There's still players that need to be moved on. There's still question marks around the manager at the minute. So it does seem a long, long way. And I think no words I've ever hit more than Ragnick when he said that open heart surgery. I think that was... He's nail on the head there, innit?
How many years has it been since?
Yeah,
since that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he said at the time, we need to move on 10 players, wasn't it? I think it was.
Yeah.
And we still need to move on more players.
And we still need to move on more players. Yeah.
So yeah,
it's going to take time. Right. It's going to take time. I think people expected it to happen like it did with Newcastle, but it's going to take time. It genuinely will take some more time for it to actually be all good and all fluid flowing for us actually at the club level on both off the pitch and on the pitch.
Yeah. Just gonna go back to the comments. Random guy, have you guys seen the media on Delit? I haven't. I have to be honest. I've heard a lot of noise around it. It's the only thing I've not seen. Have you seen it, Shreyas?
A little I have seen, because
was it criticism?
I think it was after. I think happened during the international break after the Liverpool game itself.
Yeah, did he make a mistake or something? I think I saw.
Yeah, he made. I think the last game he made an error that led to a goal. So the media have been completely on him.
Yeah, Dutch
I think
media
it was last night
quite,
itself. I think
quite
it was
strong,
last night
there?
itself.
Have you seen
Van
der Vaart when he speaks on a player? He's very strongly critical. Oh, turns it personal sometimes. I remember seeing a quote on Harry Maguire, and he was talking about it's saying that being really aggressive and over insulting.
Game against Germany last night. He made an.
Right, okay. Well, these things happen, but I mean, if the Dutch media is absolutely smashing him, I don't really understand it, to be honest with you. But they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Andy Williams, isn't Ten Hag doing the same thing with Rashford that Ollie did Ronaldo? Maybe, yeah. I think there's an argument there, Andy, for sure. Kirk Howcroft, can I ask you, lads, do you think we would have conceded 3 goals against Liverpool if Ugarte played instead of Casemiro?
Yes.
Probably.
We still would have.
I don't know, because I look at the 2 goals. So the first one, I don't know if Ugarte plays that pass. I think he's much more. He simplifies the game a lot more with Ugarte. If you watch him for PSG, he'll take it off the back 4. He'll go out to the wing back, or he'll go back to the centre back. He's very simple. Casemiro's extremely risky as a player, so I don't think that one happens. I also think the second one, where he gets the ball pinched off him, I think Ugarte's got better awareness and strength on the ball, especially with Casemiro dropping down the size.
He does, but I think you wouldn't. I would say if you put him into that game as rusty he is at the moment, probably wouldn't really have.
Yeah, because of that. Yeah, I agree with that.
I would never want a rusty player, and as on top of that, a new signing to be straight put into a derby. That too against Liverpool at home.
Yeah, that side I definitely agree with. But I also think I don't think one player is going to change the whole narrative of United's situation. I think it'll help. It's going to be at least 3-4 years before we compete for the league. That's from Kirk. Dan saying if we want United to challenge for the league, there's only one guy that can do this. Super Paul Mullin. Charlie Malman, they're butchering the lit. You can rebuild, but there has to be some sort of improvement. I agree. Yeah, we have to see something as United fans. Now, we touched on Ugarte there, Shreyas. Played a full 90 minutes against Venezuela last night. 100% successful dribbles, 83% successful passes, 8 out of 12 duels won, 6 recoveries, 3 out of 6 long balls, 3 interceptions, and 2 out of 4 tackles. Pretty impressive cameo again, but it is international football. It is with Uruguay. Completely different situation under Bielsa. Well, I say that. Bielsa's a bit of a crazy coach like Ten Hag is as well. But
he's also a chaotic man.
yeah, he's very chaotic, as we saw when we played Leeds multiple times. So, yeah, that's not true. They are very similar. I can't personally see him starting with such a quick turnaround, but then there are rumours going about from, a lot of the aggregator accounts that Ten Hag's thinking about starting him. Would that be the right decision or the wrong decision?
If he's up to speed, then sure, actually start him, because I think you need someone like him against Spurs. You genuinely need someone like him against Spurs with the way they play. You need him against teams like Villa for him to be ready and at it. The only thing is, I think Ten Hag mentioned it after or before the Liverpool game that it will take Ugarte at least a month or so to actually be involved in the matchup lineup and involved with the team. He's still training. He's not up to speed and he's not sharp enough. But I think maybe the international break actually helps with match sharpness a lot. Maybe it helps with his fitness. But I just want him to be ready when he starts. I don't want him to be abruptly just tucked into the team for things to actually work or things to actually click. I want it to be in a much more balanced way where he's ready and the setup is right as well. The match is right for him to play as well, so that the player can play with confidence and then build upon it week after week after week.
Yeah, I'd like to use an analogy for this situation. So, for anyone, I don't think you'll get this, but for anyone who's been to Chester Zoo, they have a thing called the Batcave, right? And it's not where Batman resides or chills. It's just a cave full of bats.
That's the only Batcave I know, man.
Yeah. But it's a cave full of bats, and you walk through, and it's just these fucking bats flying out. I hate it. It's absolutely awful. There's bats flying everywhere, right? So it's like you're saying to Ugarte, look, you're going to walk through this cave, but you need to have the right protection. You need to have the right, kind of focus and energy going in it. Otherwise, you're just going to get fucking picked apart by these bats. Yeah. And I think the same thing, Ugarte going into this team, you're going into a chaotic system here where it's an absolute whirlwind. You need to be as prepared as you possibly can be. I don't want to chuck him in there if he's not ready. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe drip feed him like we did with Delit or Xerxes if needs be. Because Southampton away, you should be in without Ugarte anyway.
15 to 20 minutes game after game after game, and then give him a full start. But don't rush him. Like there's no good coming out of it.
I don't think he'll start him, but what do you guys think in the chat? Is it risky? Would you just go with it straight off the bat? Are you seeing enough for Casemiro already? I just know in Ten Hag, he doesn't usually go with a popular decision, does he? When we discuss tactics or certain players that should be brought in, he doesn't make the popular decision. I'm not saying you have to always make what the fans want, because otherwise you'd lose games, but I think, I don't know, it's a risky one for me, so I personally wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't. I think if he can just tweak a couple of things about, I think we can still have a good game. And if we struggle against Southampton, it's not going to be a good look for him at all. If you struggle against a team like Southampton. And I think maybe Ugarte is definitely a big question. But apart from that, Rashford is still a big question mark as well. Whether he'll be starting or not starting. Whether Garnacho will finally be, and Garnacho and Ahmad will finally be awarded a start together as a pair in those winger departments.
I hope so.
And probably Højlund could be back by then. Probably Højlund gets involved.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be on the bench. I mean, Luke Shaw's supposed to be back, but he's definitely not going to get chucked back into the fire. And I've also seen, I think they're going to be a bit precautious with Højlund.
Have to be.
So, because his injury, he just went down like in a weird way, didn't he? And then he's out for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're like, hold on.
I think it was against Arsenal. I think it was during preseason.
Yeah. And you're like, because no one's really near him, are they? It's just a bit of a weird. When Lissandro injured himself, and you're like, what on earth is going on here? It was a bit of a mad situation. So yeah, I'm guessing they don't want to rush him back. Xerxes played well.
I hope Lissandro actually kicks up as well. I think he's had a poor start to this season.
He's been shocking. So a lot of people need to pull the socks up and get stuck in. And if you even draw against Southampton, there's going to be a lot of criticism coming your way.
Yeah. I think that's a game. Like it doesn't matter if you win 1-0 or 2-0 or 2-1, but
you've got to
need to win
win
that game.
Yeah. I agree. Andy Williams saying Southampton's a perfect game. Give him 70 minutes and we should control it. Dane saying sometimes Erik ten Hag needs to drop Bruno, Casemiro and Rashford. They won't make the first 11 in a top 4 club. I've been calling for each one of them to be dropped at times when needs be, just because I think we always say competition breeds success. And when they look tired or when they're overdoing it,
I'm starting to actually get frustrated with Bruno's role in our team. I
Yeah.
think he needs to stop running and he just needs to play behind the striker. Because
Yeah.
when he actually does it, he does it for Portugal and he ends up scoring and assisting every single
Yeah.
game. Every single game he's managed to get an assist or a goal.
Yeah.
At United, he's just roaming around, just pressing all over the pitch, and I don't think that he's playing in his best spot in this
Yeah.
team. If you need to get the best out of him, play him behind Xerxes, play him behind Hoyland. That's the best that Bruno can actually offer to the team.
Dan saying to make it more solid, I think he should play Ugarte and Casemiro than Bruno in the 10. I'd take that one up, Dan. I'd play Ugarte,
Yeah.
Casemiro, and Manu. Just with some composure and positional sense,
Yeah.
like I'd try that out. Didn't it come out he didn't want Ugarte and he's stubborn? Well, there was conversations about that back and forth. Whether I think Ten Hag wanted to keep McTominay, he weren't absolutely convinced on Ugarte. So I don't know. We don't know the absolute truth in that. It's just reports, so you can only really speculate. Now I want to move the conversation and change gears slightly. Shreyas to Angel Gomes. He had his full England debut last night. 130 total touches, 124 passes completed, 17 passes into the final third, 3 long balls completed, 2 tackles won, 1 interception, 1 chance created. The midfielder that England are lacking. Like, he was really, really good last night. Obviously, questions about his physical profile. The guy, I think, is like 5'5", very slight.
Yeah.
There will be questions, no doubt, when you talk about the Premier League. But last night when I was watching, I was thinking quick, agile, the way he moves, the way he turns, unlike anything I've seen, especially for someone his size, and the ability to control the ball, rotate out of tight situations, and he can play at different angles, which is really unpredictable and really nice. And he's good at manipulating the ball. Contract runs out at the end of the season. He becomes a free agent. Eriksen replacement? Would you take it? Oh, I don't know if you watched the game last night, so I'm just kind of
I caught bits of him, but the thing is, the reason he left United in the first place was because of game time.
Yeah.
That's the major reason that he left in the first place. Will he be happy enough to fill in as a replacement for Christian Eriksen next season? And
it's a good question.
Because look, Bruno won't be dropped. Manu will never be dropped with the way he's going. So that's 2 slots already occupied. You're left with that 6th position, and you've just signed Ugarte. So the players that you must be looking into should either be, Bruno replacements in that 10, but you've already got Mount in there, so that area is also eliminated. You're left with a player who can be, play as a backup to Kobe Manu. I think that's the only place that he probably might fit in. But will he be getting, consistent minutes with Ten Hag being the manager? I think that's a serious question, because Ten Hag never drops his, I would say, first choice players. He's never dropped Mino whenever he's got the chance. He's never dropped Dallo when he's got the chance. Same goes with Bruno and some of the other players in the team. So look, if he's happy as to be a squad player, if he's happy to be someone who gets the odd start in the cup games and then some odd starts in the league, but not a consistent starter, I think it can work. But I don't think that that's the sort of role he might be actually envisioning for himself.
I think one thing we lack at the minute as well as teams, physicality and height in it, and bring that. We always say we want to bring down the age profile of the squad as a collective. I think bringing in Angel Gomes, you're bringing down the physical and the height size.
Yeah.
If you're playing Kobe, Bruno, and Angel Gomes in midfield, as technically brilliant as it is, physical wise, you can get bullied in a midfield. When you're coming up against Casado, Lavio, and Enzo, let's say, in a midfield, or Rodri, De Bruyne, you're going to get mauled. So I do think, I look at England play last night, because I watched them close. The first half was boring as fuck, but the second half, under Lee Carsley, this new manager now, it was a lot more expansive, and he was overloading areas, and he was like, the timing of the passes. When you watch City, when you overload a certain side, and they have the triangles are perfect, aren't they? They know how to get to the byline. It was like watching that, and it was actually really good. It was fluid movement, and because they brought in, he was playing like Grealish in a 10, and he had Angel Gomes in there, he had Anthony Gordon, Trent was pushing into midfield.
I think the best thing that manager has done is actually play like a winger in that wing position, because throughout the course of the Euros, people were crying out loud to actually play players like Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side, because things were just way too narrow. Yes. And now that you've got players actually playing in, that sort of position, things look much better.
Yeah,
And
because
England do have a lot of talent to offer. It's just that you know you need to find the right balance with it.
we had Trippier at left back and then Foden on the left. So it was like
Yeah,
everything's just going centrally in it. Everyone wants to drop into the middle, and having Gordon there and Grealish, the rotations, that was something that really impressed me. And Saka on the other side,
yeah.
yeah, but working really well with Trent. I think it's interesting. I don't know if he'll get the full-time job or not, but 2 wins, 2 clean sheets, and he's given some people debuts and stuff. So yeah, exciting football, better football than fucking than Southgate, that's for sure. And Trent, I agree, Andy, just but Trent was unreal. Trent last night, ridiculous. Created like 5 or 6 open like big chances. I think he's one of those players who he seems to do what he wants in the team. You know what I mean?
When he's got the right
Free
covering
reign.
alongside him. Yeah,
It kills me
when
to
he's got the
say,
right. Yeah,
oh, he's such a good player. He really, really is. And I hate the fact that he's a Liverpool player. I hope he don't sign a new contract and fucks off to Madrid because I think he's that good.
yeah, yeah.
He's unbelievable. But yeah, anyway, we don't want to make this a Trent podcast. We just had some news coming in. So Man United's fourth quarter results record full year revenues of 661 million. That's how much we've made in a year. But net losses up to 113 million, due in part to increased investment in the squad. One-off exceptional cost of 47 related to the strategic review. Club reiterate commitment to PSR rules and more. So some losses there, but it was kind of expected with Ineos coming in because they have spent quite a bit of money. But the fact that a full-year revenue, £661 million. I mean, United are still a juggernaut financially there, aren't they, clearly?
They are a global brand.
Yeah. Man United, sorry, I've already read that out. That's from Cristiano Ronaldo. Imagine Cristiano Ronaldo in the chat. No, but it's just a quote coming in. Omar Barada says, we're extremely focused on working collectively to create a bright future with football success at the heart of it. Our clear objective is to return the club to the top of European football to deliver sustained success on and off the pitch. 200 million cash injection by Sir Jim Ratcliffe with extra 100 million before end of 2024. So Ineos doing the business. They'll want to see results.
Do we make any signings in the winter window for a change?
I think it depends on circumstance because
like let's say you've got this you still got a problem with your left backs and you still got a problem in the midfield. Do you think we still make a signing, like a genuine signing in the winter window?
In my heart of heart and in my gut now says we're going to hear similar things in terms of how it's a difficult market, how we have to adhere to PSR rules because you've already seen the revenue reports there and stuff. I think it was tricky, but I think I can see like a Rabiot or a left back coming in on loan.
Exactly.
But that's why I say it's circumstantial, Shreyas, because it depends on the situation, who's injured. Are we still having issues with Shaw? Does Ugarte not adapt properly?
Is that a question?
Well, it is a question, but it's also almost a rhetorical question because we do know the answer to that, don't we? But we just have to assess it. If it keeps continuing and keeps happening, you have a full season again. I mean, by the time you get to January, you're already halfway through the season, aren't you? So it's you've already dropped points because of it. I don't think Ineos will want to lose out more, and I think they'll want Champions League football. I know they say that it's about the style of play, and we want to see something consistent. But in terms of money-wise, you want to be in Europe regardless. And the way we're going at the minute, does it look like we're going to be back in Europe?
I think the biggest problem is with the way other clubs are moving at the moment. Like you look at Villa right now, you look at Spurs, even Spurs right now as well. They might not be playing like brilliant football, but they still manage to get results in. They don't drop as many points in the starting end of the season. And because we are actually dropping a lot of points, it creates a big issue because you still got teams like Brighton. Brighton has started the season quite well. You've already got the likes of Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. So it's going to be quite hectic with clubs like West Ham, the kind of windows even that they've had, new manager coming in. It's going to be quite tricky for us to break into the top 4. And that's why a lot of people I've been seeing are saying that the best bet United have got to actually, make it into the Champions League is by winning the Europa League, which once again is quite a heavy task in itself.
Random guy has just gifted a Real Reds Talk membership. Thank you very much for that. Keep an eye out for, I don't know if Sam's already dropped it or not, but we filmed an After Dark on Sunday, me, Sam and Aaron. I'm sure Sam's in the chat, so I'll let you know. But that video is ready to go for members. So if you want to become a member and get, kind of rights to exclusive content, then click the join button next to the notification bell or the link in the description. But Charlie Malman has been gifted a membership by Random, guys. So thank you very much for that, Random. Appreciate you, brother. Andy's saying they also need to replace Sancho. Well, I've heard talks of Eze. Would you be happy about that?
Yeah. I would be happy. I think Eze is quite a tricky player, and even during the Euros, I said it a lot that he's going to be a mystery player for a lot of teams because they don't really know what his game actually is, and if put in the right, in the right time and in the right setup, Eze can prove very, very destructive. And last season as well, that trio of Mateta, Eze, and Olise used to cause a lot of issues to some big teams as well.
We know all about it, mate.
We definitely know. And even this season, he started the season quite bright alongside Kamada, who's been the new signing for them in that Olise position. And I think he'll be a good signing because he's someone who knows how to play as a winger. He knows how to play as a 10 as well. And once again, is quite versatile in his approach. So I think Eze could be a good signing. Just depends on how we're going to be using him. Because if you want to get Eze in, you need to let go of a certain midfielder to actually get him into this team.
I didn't realize he's 26. I thought he was younger than that.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't matter. 26 is still like a relatively decent age, but I thought he was younger. I don't know why. I had the impression he was like, at least his age, like 22, 23 or whatever. But yeah, so Sam's just put it in the chat there saying drop it at 1 p.m. So for you members, keep an eye on that. Go watch it. Very, very, it's different to football. There's no football in it whatsoever. We talk about, multiple things. So go check that out. Always a relaxed kind of interesting watch when we do it after dark. Eze will be 27 next season. I think United will move clear of him. Box saying Eze overpriced, get someone abroad cheaper and better. I know we're looking at a winger in La Liga who's been compared to Nico Williams. I can't remember the guy's name. I think he plays for Real Betis. Bow-footed, very good. So if we want to go for someone like that, then I'm all right with it, because we've got Ahmad Garnacho. I'd be okay with that. Just to let you guys know as well, before I forget, we're going to have the Southampton preview tonight at 6:30. I think Shreyas and Sam, you on that?
Yeah.
Tonight, Shreyas and Sam, because I'll be working tonight, so I won't be available. But yeah, these two guys have been in the Liverpool preview. Fucking Liverpool preview. I've still got Liverpool in my mind. The Southampton preview on Saturday, sorry. And just to finish off, Shreyas, oh my God, listen to my voice. Completely gone. Oh, we got it back, right?
Yeah.
Whilst my voice is still lasting, Premier League football back this weekend.
Finally.
Don't give me a prediction of Southampton United or anything.
For sure.
Couple of interesting games. You've got Villa versus Everton. You've got the North London derby, Tottenham versus Arsenal.
Tottenham winning.
Do you think Tottenham beat Arsenal?
I think losing Odegaard will be for them for a couple of games. It is genuinely a huge blow because who fits into that role now? The kind of role that Odegaard actually does. Like if Partey gets injured or if someone else gets injured, I think they still have enough cover to make it work. But with Odegaard getting injured, I think that's going to be very tricky.
It'd be like City if Haaland got injured now in it, because you don't have a striker really to replace him with Julian Alvarez going.
It's like last season, City lost Rodri. They was struggling for 6 to 8 games before he actually came back. So might be the same, might be the same case for Arsenal. And I think right now Tottenham would be looking at that game and going, this is the best time that we can actually hurt Arsenal. And I think Arsenal have just dropped points against Brighton as well in their last game. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them going into this fixture. No captain, already dropped points, gap against City might widen.
Yeah, I'm looking at the games actually, and I'm like, United definitely need to win this one against Southampton because the other teams that are around us, West Ham have got Fulham, Liverpool have got Forest at home, which is definitely going to be a win. City have got Brentford at home, Villa have got Everton at home. Them. Chelsea have got Bournemouth. I see all of them teams probably winning that. So you lose against Southampton, I mean, you already go like 9-10 points behind you already, and you 4 games into the season. So
exactly,
I'm just so happy the international break. I can't explain to you how happy I am.
What is genuinely the point of having an international break 3 games into the season? Just 3 games into the season, and you've got an international break.
I absolutely hate it. If I could banish genuinely. If I could banish international football, I would. Especially the friendlies and the Nation League. I couldn't give a bollocks about. I really don't care.
And you end up getting players injured. and we
Yeah,
end up getting players injured.
that's what I'm saying. Like, look at Odegaard. Konza got injured for England last night.
Yeah.
There was another one as well, another big injury. I can't
Ake
remember
got
who it was.
injured for City.
Yeah, Ake got injured as well. Yeah,
Ake
that's
is
what I'm
injured.
saying. And the coach is looking at this like the season we've got coming up, the congested fixture schedule.
Yeah.
It's a fucking nightmare. And they're trying to do more. They're trying to push more games for next season. It's like, it's ridiculous.
This new Club World Cup that's come through, that's
It's
more
a
games
joke.
added into this.
It's
Yeah.
honestly, they're saying Chelsea this season could end up playing up to 70 to 80 games. That's a joke. That is, and obviously they've got the squad size for it. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
They've got 45 players or whatever, but it's still a piss take.
It is.
Random saying Angel Gomes about a contract next year. Do you think we'll bring him back to the club? I don't know if you're watching this a little bit behind Random, but we did kind of touch on that. Could we employ Xerxes and Højlund wide with a view to bringing in an older centre forward? I mean, Xerxes, yeah. Højlund, I think would work okay in a pairing, but out wide, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see it personally, but I know he's a bit of a channel runner. He can run at people. It's just in terms of when you get to that point, does he have the creativity? And I think, just kind of pick someone out.
I think Højlund's your striker.
Yes.
Genuinely, with he plays, he's out and out and striker.
Yeah.
Xerxes might still be deployed in various positions because I think he's still quite well in integrating and dropping deep. But Højlund's genuine. Like if you look into his goals last season as well, you can just look into it and go and he's a pure number 9.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I think that's a good place to leave it. 45 minutes in. Like I said, guys, if you can go join us for the preview at 6:30 tonight for Southampton. Premier League football is back, and I couldn't be more ecstatic and excited about it. Check out the members video when it drops at 1 o'clock, and let us know your thoughts on that video. And we've got loads more content coming up and guests over the next couple of days. So busy. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, thank you to Shreyas. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take it easy, people.
See ya.